Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you all. I'm Dr. Harika Kishore. On behalf of Vista's Learning, I'm here as your biology educator. V-Learning, it's an online education platform which works with an ideology of providing quality education for all. Visit our website www.v-learning.in where you're going to get an access for all the live classes, recorded sessions, concept videos, study materials, and also you're going to get this lecture notes in the form of PDFs. And also get your acquaintance with all the channels available. Make sure to subscribe to the channel Vista's Learning Class 11 and 12. If you find this session useful and interesting, make sure to click on the like and share this session with your friends. And also click on the bell icon so that you are going to get all the upcoming video notifications. Now, let's begin today's session. We are in the series of sessions where we have been discussing about the chapter ecosystem that comes under the unit ecology, right? So, in the previous session, we have been discussing about the nutrient cycling. After energy flow, we are in understanding what is this nutrient cycling. And in that, we have finished carbon cycle and phosphorus cycle. So today's session, let's understand about the importance of the nitrogen and nitrogen cycle. So here, we are discussing about the nutrient cycling. Nutrient cycling, which is otherwise called biogeochemical cycles. Biogeochemical cycles, right? So, in that series, let's understand about nitrogen cycle. Ecosystem, nitrogen cycle. We know that apart from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen is very important. It is the most prevalent element in the living organisms. We have come across studying about nitrogen metabolism, where we know that this nitrogen is going to be a part. That means it is the constituent of most of the amino acids, proteins, and also hormones, nucleic acids. Like we already know, nitrogen is a constituent of amino acids. Amino acids where this is the basic structure. Where this is an alpha carbon which is attached to amino group, carboxyl group, and hydrogen, and also to the functional side chain. If you look at the basic structure of amino acid, we'll find the presence of amino group. This is where we are concentrating today. And it also have carboxyl group, hydrogen, and it also have functional group or functional side chain, which is unique for each and every amino acid. Based upon this functional group, we are giving name to a particular amino acid. So the basic concept here is, we are telling that nitrogen is a constituent of amino acids. And if you look at the basic structure of the amino acid, alpha carbon is attached to the 4 groups, out of which 2 are amino group and carboxyl group, and the other 2 are hydrogen and functional group. So here, out of total, the 1 amino group, that is important, where we can find the presence of nitrogen. So we already know amino acids are the building blocks for the proteins. If amino acid have the amino group, then obviously the nitrogen is going to act as one of the important integral part, that is constituent for the proteins also. And also, we do find some protein hormones, amine hormones. That means the nitrogen is an important constituent of hormones too. If you come look at the structure of the chlorophyll, where we can see the central core magnesium being surrounded by ring of nitrogen, and to this nitrogen, pyrrole groups are arranged so that you'll get a complete structure of the chlorophyll. Here also we do find the presence of nitrogen. That means we can say that this nitrogen is a very important constituent of amino acids, and as amino acids are the building blocks, we surely see this nitrogen presence in the proteins also, and they are protein hormones, amine hormones. Therefore, the nitrogen is also going to play a very important role in the hormones too. And also we do find the presence of the nitrogen in chlorophyll and also many of the vitamins. This is how we can understand how important the nitrogen presence for the living organisms. Now, so here we know that atmospheric nitrogen constitutes about 78%. Though we have a plenty of nitrogen, that is about 78% of the atmospheric nitrogen, but still the plants can't able to absorb this nitrogen because the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, present in the form of molecular nitrogen. Molecular nitrogen, where we have to break these bonds to make it into absorbable form by the plants. Though the availability of the nitrogen is plenty in the atmosphere, as it is not available in the absorbable form, it is not easy for the plants to absorb the atmospheric nitrogen. Therefore, the nitrogen fixation is very, very important in order to make this molecular nitrogen into absorbable form of nitrogen that can be easily absorbed by the root system of the plants. And here, whatever the minimal amount of the nitrogen which is present in the soil, for that both plants as well as soil microbes compete each other. So plants compete with microbes for the limited nitrogen that is available in the soil. In the soil, the availability of the nitrogen is very, very minimal. For that, there is a competition between the plants as well as the microbes. But in the atmosphere, we have a plenty availability of the nitrogen, that is 78%. But the major problem here is that whatever the 78% of the atmospheric nitrogen is present in its unabsorbable form, it has to convert in such a way that it is easily absorbed by the plants, and that is as the nitrogen which is present, which is made available, which is readily available to the soil is very, very minimal. So that is what, thus the nitrogen is a limiting nutrients for both natural as well as agricultural ecosystem. Now, so here, as we just now said that whatever the nitrogen which is present in atmosphere nitrogen is present in its molecular form, N2. That means we need a very high energy to break these bonds and to make this molecular nitrogen into its nitrogen oxide forms. So here, nitrogen exists in its molecular state in the atmosphere, which cannot be absorbed by the plant system. And the process of conversion of this molecular nitrogen into nitrites and nitrates is nothing but nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation. And here, in nature, like lightning and ultraviolet radiation, one is lightning and other one is ultraviolet radiations, produces enough energy. What we said, we need a very high energy to break the bonds that are present in the molecular nitrogen and to convert it into nitrogen oxides. For that to happen, that high energy we are getting from lightning as well as from ultraviolet radiations. Now here, enough energy is present, enough energy is coming that is useful to convert the nitrogen to nitrogen oxides like nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen dioxide and nitrous oxides. Right? Now, so here, not only biological nitrogen fixation, like whatever we said, atmosphere nitrogen is present in its molecular form, therefore it is not absorbed by the plants. To make it into absorbable form, here the biological nitrogen fixation is playing a very major role, which has happened by means of bacteria, that is soil microbes. Along with that, we also have another source that is called as industrial nitrogen fixation. That means industrial combustions, forest fires, automobile exhausts, and power generating stations. What are the sources? What are the industrial sources for the industrial nitrogen fixation? Industrial combustion, forest fires, automobile exhausts, power generating stations. These are all considered as a source for atmospheric nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen oxides. That means here molecular nitrogen is converted into nitrogen oxide forms, which can be easily absorbed by the root system of the plants. Thereby it can produce, it uses this for the production of biomass, that means organic nitrogen, and this biomass is transferred from the plants to the next level, that is consumers, when they consume all the producers, that is plants, that are plants. Now here decomposition is a process where just now we said that whatever the fixed form of atmospheric nitrogen, that is in the form of nitrous oxides, are absorbed by the root system, and they will utilize this nitrous oxides by converting into ammonia, and now it will produces biomass. We know that the biomass will transfer from the producers to the consumers, that means animals, plants, for example. So here, when this plants as well as animals reaches to its death phase, then it is going to be decomposed by the decomposers, wherein which this organic nitrogen is going to convert into ammonia. So the decomposition of organic nitrogen, which is present in the plants and animals, once these plants and animals die, that means they will reach its death phase, then it is going to add up to the detritus, and this detritus is been decomposed by the decomposers, then, and the process is called as decomposition. While it is happening, whatever the organic nitrogen which is present in this dead matter, that is dead organic matter, dead plants and animals, it is going to convert into ammonia. So the organic nitrogen is going to convert into ammonia, and this process is called as ammonification. Now, so here let's understand. As we already said that atmospheric nitrogen which exists in its molecular state. Now, So look at here. Just now we said that most of the ammonia we are getting from the decomposition process, decomposers. Decomposers will convert the organic nitrogen into ammonia. Now we have ammonia. This ammonia is first converted into nitrites, and then the nitrites are going to convert into nitrate. So here most of the ammonia is converted into nitrate, first nitrate, then nitrates by a soil bacteria, and this is here where we can see the first ammonia is going to convert into nitrites, and then that nitrates are further oxidized to produce nitrates. And these nitrates can be absorbed by the plant system. If you look at here, so as we already said that we have the atmospheric nitrogen, and that atmospheric nitrogen is present in its molecular form, right? So this molecular nitrogen is converted into ammonia by, whether it happens by the means of biological nitrogen fixation or industrial nitrogen fixation. Once the ammonia is produced, it is going to convert first into nitrites. So here atmospheric nitrogen is fixed, and that is what we are called as a biological nitrogen fixation. It can be done by the bacteria which is present in the leguminous plants, right? The legumes where the root nodules will consisting of this soil bacteria, and they will useful for the nitrogen fixation. That means they are going to convert the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, into ammonia, and it can be happened by the industrial nitrogen fixation also. Now there is a conversion of molecular nitrogen into ammonia. Molecular nitrogen is converted into ammonia. Once the ammonia is formed, it is further going to oxidized, going to convert into nitrites. Then these nitrites are further converted into nitrates. So this steps, we call it as a nitrification. Nitrification. So here the conversion of ammonia into nitrates happens in the presence of nitrosomonas and nitrosococcus bacteria, whereas the conversion of nitrites to nitrates takes place in the presence of nitrobacter. So here the conversion of the ammonia finally takes place to nitrates. Now we have nitrates. So nitrates are the form which is easily absorbed by the plant system. So now by using the root system, you can take a brown color also. So here is the roots which has been extended, scattered into the soil. So now the nitrate which is present in the soil is easily absorbed by the root system of the plants. Now the nitrate whichever reaches to the root system finally moves to the shoot system, and it reaches the leaves of the plants, where it is going to convert into ammonia. Now here, once it fixes its biomass, as these producers will act as a food for the consumers, now this animal will feed on these producers. Therefore, the biomass keeps, that means the transfer of the energy takes place from the producers to the consumers. Now, here the consumer is herbivore. When the plants, that is the producer and the consumers, die, they will act to the detritus, where the decomposition process takes place. Now in the biomass we have organic matter. Now that organic nitrogen is going to convert into back to ammonia. Now some of the part is absorbed, the nitrates which has been formed by nitrification. Here some of the part of the nitrate which is present in the soil is absorbed by the plant system, whereas the remaining part is going to convert back to atmospheric nitrogen, where the nitrates are going to convert into atmospheric nitrogen, that is molecular nitrogen. So this is how the cycle repeats, and that is what we are calling it as a nitrogen cycle. So here, once the ammonia is produced, it is going to convert first into nitrates, then into nitrates. Now, this conversion happens in the presence of soil bacteria. So look at here. Ammonia is first oxidized to nitrites, and that is happened by the presence of the bacteria, and that bacteria are called as Nitrosomonas and Nitrosococcus. Now, whatever the nitrate which is produced is further oxidized to produce nitrates, and this is going to happen with the help of the bacteria, and that bacteria is called as Nitrobacter. So here is a reaction we already discussed. Ammonia which is formed is going to convert into nitrites in the presence of Nitrosomonas and Nitrosococcus. Then the nitrites are going to convert into nitrates in the presence of Nitrobacter. Whatever the nitrates that are produced, that are present in the soil, are easily absorbed by the root system of the plants, and some of the part of the nitrate which is present in the soil is going to convert to the atmospheric, that means nitrogen is going to add up to the nitrogen that is present in the atmosphere. Now, so here, these steps, that means formation of the nitrites and formation of nitrates, are nothing but nitrification. Nitrification. And these nitrifying bacteria are chemoautotrophs. That means they'll get their energy from a chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. That is what we are calling it as a chemo. Chemo means chemical reaction. Chemoautotrophs. Here, the nitrates. Where do we get this nitrates? From nitrites. Where do we get that nitrites? From ammonia. So, ammonia first oxidizes to produce nitrites, further oxidizes to produce nitrates. Now we have nitrates in the soil. The nitrates thus formed is absorbed. Till then it cannot be absorbed by the plant system. Once the nitrogen is converted into its nitrate form, then it is absorbed by the plants and it is transported to the leaves. It is transported to the leaves. Now the nitrates which is absorbed by the root system of the plants transported to the leaves of the plants. In leaves, of the plants, it is reduced to ammonia. Thus, that finally forms amine group of amino acids. In the starting of this session only, we discussed about this nitrogen, how the nitrogen is acting as a constituent of amino acids, proteins, hormones, chlorophyll, and many vitamins. And this is how nitrogen forms amine group of amino acids. Now, nitrates which is present in the soil, some of the nitrates that is present in the soil has been absorbed by the root system, reaches the leaves where it is converted into ammonia and going to be fixed as a amine group of the amino acids. Clear. And some amount of nitrate which is present in the soil is also reduced to the nitrogen, and this process is called as nitrification. While we are discussing, we also mentioned that point where some of the nitrates has been absorbed by the root system of the plants. From the root system of the plants, it reaches to the leaves where it is going to convert into ammonia and fixes in the amine group of the amino acids, which acts as the building blocks for the proteins and protein hormones, like that. Now, the biomass will transfer from the plant system to the animal system. If both the plant system and animal system decomposes, it reaches back to the process called as decomposition, where it is going to convert into ammonia. Now, whatever the other part, like some part has been absorbed, and some of the nitrates that are present in the soil can also reduced to nitrogen that is going to add up to the atmosphere, and this process is called as denitrification. Now, denitrification, where nitrates that are present in the soil are reduced to produce nitrogen. Now, denitrification is carried out by bacteria such as Pseudomonas thiobacillus, and Monococcus, where these are all the bacteria which will helps for the process of denitrification, that is denitrifying bacteria. Now, so to make it a quick gist of whatever we have discussed about the nitrogen cycle, we said that we have plenty availability of the nitrogen in the atmosphere, and that what we call it as an atmospheric nitrogen. But this nitrogen exists in its molecular form, which is not absorbed by the plant system. And here, whatever the atmospheric nitrogen, first it is fixed, whether it happens by means of biological nitrogen fixation or it may happens by means of industrial nitrogen fixation. So here what happens, the molecular nitrogen is going to convert to form ammonia. Now the first this ammonia whatever produced is first oxidized to produce nitrite. Ammonia nitrites further oxidized to form nitrates, and the nitrates which has been produced are taken up by the plants and it will produce plant biomass. Now if these plants are taken as a food by the consumers, next trophic level animals, then it is going to pass from the plant system to the animal system. When this plant system and animal system reaches its decline phase, death phase, then it is going to add up to the detritus, where decomposition happens. That is what we are calling it as a decaying biomass. Plant biomass and animal biomass has been added up to the decaying biomass, where we can see it is again the organic nitrogen is going to convert to ammonia, right? And this is how it added back to the soil pool, that is soil nitrogen pool. And here this is the nitrogen fixation which has happened by means of biological nitrogen fixation and industrial nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation. So here we also have discussed about the lightning, thundering and also electrical nitrogen fixation, where the electrical nitrogen fixation and as well as denitrification happens, where nitrates are going to reduce back to its molecular nitrogen which is adding back to the atmosphere. That is what the cycle takes place, and this is what complete nitrogen cycle, right? By this we have finished carbon cycle, phosphorus cycle, nitrogen cycle. We have finished this ecological cycles, biogeo cycle, nothing but nutrient cyclings. Now moving on to ecosystem services. Healthy ecosystem, whether it is a forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, or terrestrial ecosystem, or aquatic ecosystem, any healthy ecosystem is going to provide a lot goods and services. For example, healthy ecosystems are the basis of a wide range of economic services, environmental services, and aesthetic goods as well as services. Here, if you find a healthy ecosystem, it is providing a lot for us. What do you find from a healthy, for example, forest ecosystem? We are getting lots and lots of trees, thereby the purification of the air is made available at a free of cost. If you find buying everyday oxygen cylinder, it costs a very, it is going to cost a lot. But all the oxygen what we are inhaling, it is available completely free of cost. That is where, but the availability of the oxygen is being polluted. That means air pollution is the major cause where the oxygen is being polluted. Availability of oxygen is being going to lessen. This is all man-made. But nature is always there for us to provide the purified air. If for let's understand with a very simple example of taking forest ecosystem, where we are going to get trees, lots and lots of trees, which synthesizes its food. That means photosynthesis. Once the photosynthesis is happening, it is going to provide us flowers, fruits. That means food, and also it is helping us to construct the shelters by providing us the wood and also textiles, fibers, medicinal plants. Endless services each and every ecosystem is providing to the mankind. But we being getting all the services done by the ecosystem, in return we are polluting the ecosystem. This topic is given to you to make you understand how important the services what we are getting from the ecosystem, and that too at the completely free of cost. Therefore, it is our responsibility to preserve, to conserve this ecosystem for us as well as for the future kids, future generation. So here, this topic is given to you to make you understand how the valuable services that we are getting from our ecosystem. So here, the products of ecosystem, processes are named as ecosystem. Whatever the products that we are getting from an ecosystem. Just now I said no, food, shelter, textile, fibers, medicinal value plants, ecosystem, right? Oceans and seas, like water to produce the electricity. And moreover, whatever the fossil fuels, what we are getting to generate the energy for using for the transportation, each and everything that are the products that are provided by the ecosystem to the mankind, all that are nothing but ecosystem services. For example, an healthy forest ecosystem will provide us a lot many of the services listed down here. It will purify our water, it will purify our air, and also mitigate means reduce. It will reduce the effect of droughts, it will reduce the effect of floods, like over rainfall and very deficient rainfall conditions. It will control all these things. And just now we discussed about the nutrient cycling. All this nutrient cycling is made possible by the atmosphere, biotic factors, abiotic factors, which comes within components of ecosystem. And that is what we call it as, all these are the products that were been provided for us by our ecosystem. And it also generates soil fertility. It also increases the soil fertility, and it will provide a proper habitat for the wildlife. That means it is maintaining different trophic levels. Each and every trophic level is depending upon its lower trophic level, and it is useful to transfer it. It transfers the energy to its higher trophic level. Now, it also useful to maintain the biodiversity and also pollinate the crops. We are getting the pollinating agents. Pollinating agents, right? Insects, they will get the food by the plants. Again, the plants in the ecosystem is providing the food to the insects, and thereby the maintenance of the biodiversity is made possible. And also it will provide the storage sites for the carbon, coals. Also provides the aesthetic, beautiful nature. We'll get the view of a sunrise, sunset, beautiful flowers, migrating birds, sea, oceans, all the scenics, all we get completely free of cost. Like every early in the morning, we find to have a very beautiful views of birds, coming across, and we can see the sunrises, sunsets, beautiful flowers blow like white, colorful flowers, colorful arrangement, patterns of the petals. All this is very beauty of the nature, aesthetic, which we call it as a, and cultural and spiritual values. All these are the products which are provided by our ecosystem to the mankind, and completely this is all of free of cost. Here, though value of such services on biodiversity is difficult to determine, we can't determine. It seems reasonable to think that biodiversity should carry a heavy price tag. So here, scientist Robert Constanza and his colleagues have very recently they put an effort to put a price tags on nature's life support services. This is nothing to scare here that you are going to pay some bills for this. This main idea behind it, giving price tags to this nature's life supporting services, is to make you to realize the value of all the ecological services what we are getting, that is completely free of cost. It is human nature. If we something getting free of cost, will never value it. If you buy it, then you will value it. That is the reason why they have tried to keep a price tag, so that they are going to realize how valuable all this ecological services that we are getting from an ecosystem. Now, so here they have given price tags not to pay the bills, but to make you realize how the valuable services that we are getting. Here, researchers have put an average price tag of US dollars 33 trillions a year, per year. 33 trillions on this is the basic price on this fundamental ecosystem services that what we are getting, which are largely taken for granted. We take it for granted because they are available free, completely free. If we buy something, we definitely don't dare to take it as a granted thing. But if something which is coming so free, we never feel the importance of it. To make you to realize that importance, significance, value, researchers have given a price tag. And that is 33 trillion US dollars. This is nearly twice the amount of global gross national product. Global gross national product, which is US dollars 18 trillions. This is twice, that is 33 trillions in a year. Now here, so out of total cost of various ecosystem services, they have given 50% for soil formation. For soil formation, it is about 50% of total cost. And contributions of other services, like for recreation, they have given 10%, and also for nutrient cycling, they have given 10%. 10% of the total cost goes for the recreation, and 10% of the total cost goes for the nutrient cycling, and 50% is for soil formation, because soil formation withering is a very, very long time taking process. The cost of the climate regulation, %, and habitat that has been provided for wildlife, that is for 6%. So here, out of the total cost of various ecological services, the soil formation Soil formation accounts for about 50%. This numericals are important. And contribution of the other services, like one is recreation. Recreation is what we get immediately after looking into the beautiful trees, plants, flowers, and pets. These are all the components, the biotic components of the ecosystem. And if you look at the beautiful sunset, sunrise, all this, but these will act as a relieves from the stress. That is what we call it as a recreation. All this recreation is also the services which has been provided by an ecosystem. And recreation counts for 10%. And also, same 10% goes for nutrient cycling. Another ecological service that is called nutrient cycling quotes for 10%. And the cost of climate regulation and habit, which it will provide the habitat for the wildlife, right? Habit for life, wildlife, this will account for 6% each. So this is how the distribution of the percentage of the total cost takes place for the different ecological services that we are getting from our ecosystem. This is all about ecological services. Now, yeah. So in this class, we discussed about the nutrient cycle, and we have discussed in detail about the nitrogen cycle, and as well as we also discussed about the ecosystem services. The topic ecosystem services has made you to understand the value of the services that has been provided to the mankind. And with this, we have finished the chapter ecosystem. Let's begin another new chapter in the coming up session. Until then, keep learning with We Learning. Thank you.